But no, for real though, like I swear that that like every computer I come into contact with, like I don't know, like it's like it just gets fucked up in some way by
I
me
wonder
using it.
why.
What's the common denominator?
It's me. Obviously, it's me. But like I got a work computer, the same computer that Barbara, my roommate, got for the same job, and mine just sucks. It's way slower. Like when we record and I go to like last time I went to save convert the file to an MP3 or something, it took like 20 minutes when it took the other computer like 3. And then like just now we're talking about this is that I tried to put up a virtual background, but that froze my computer and I had to close Zoom and restart it. So I don't know. It's a brand new computer.
Well, you've already ruined it.
Folks, they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, happy holidays.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to Eat the Rich, the show about the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
God.
And, the waging war on Christians and
right.
holy God. I'm Shane. And we have Chris.
Hell Satan, I'm Chris.
And we have Cari joining us.
And I will take the mark during the course of the episode.
Hail the New World Order.
So we, a few months ago, the three of us, we watched a movie over the summer called Amerigeddon, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All things considered, at least compared to what we ended up watching today. we were trying to find another like insane right-wing conspiracy thing. There's a lot of like documentaries available on Amazon. I found a couple that are like all some variation of like your freedom of speech is being taken away from you, and they had like notable familiar faces from the online right, Alex Jones and Laura Loomer or whatever, whining about losing their Twitter accounts, and trying to make it some constitutional law thing. But we wanted to try to find another narrative one, so we found given that it's the holiday season, I was trying to find like a War on Christmas movie, but all of those are like comedies. And I thought like that's unbearable. I can't watch like a comedy Christian movie about.
It's like sincere. It's like a conservative humor, conservative comedy. Christian?
Yeah, like sincere, like a sincere conservative take on like they're all like wacky stories. And I was like, no, fuck that. I want something like more intense. So we watched New World Order: The End Has Come from 2013. By Dwayne McCoy,
right?
Is the director.
As it looks from the credits, he and that's probably his wife was it like Antoinette or something. Like they did everything. They made the movie entirely themselves.
The music, and
the
everything.
music.
I mean, good for them.
Like I'll just say again. In reference, right? Like when we watched Amerigeddon, that movie had that guy Gary Heaven behind it, who's like a fucking billionaire, and he has like a giant ranch. He has all these like vehicles and stuff. And so there was enough money to pump into it to kind of like create the facsimile of like a movie.
Right.
Even though it wasn't really a movie, it sort of felt like it was kind of a movie.
I also thought it was creatively better than this movie that we watched tonight, personally.
I disagree about that. I don't think it was particularly creative, but this movie was like, the guy who made this, from everything I can tell, this is like a much lower budget movie. And there are definitely moments in the movie where you could tell, like, on paper, they had like a really good idea of what it could be if they had a lot of money. I mean, there's set pieces. I mean, like, I guess let's just talk about the plot then, right? Like, what is this movie about? We just watched it, and I can barely remember.
Yeah, no, I literally, I just finished it and then hopped on the Zoom call. So, like, it's fresh. I took a few notes, but I've had no time to, like...
You gotta process it.
Really, like, reflect on it. But I do, before we get started, I would be remiss to not point out that, like you said, this movie is available on Amazon Prime. I went to Amazon Prime, and I tried to watch it free, and like I could see the movie there, and I would select it, and it would go to the screen, and I couldn't watch it. The screen would just go blank, and I couldn't watch it, and I'd like back out, and I'd like try another movie, like every other thing on Prime I could watch, but I'd try to go into that one, I couldn't watch it. So then I texted you, and you said that there were like 2 on there, one that worked, one that doesn't. So we went back to try again, and then like once we entered the title, we couldn't even get through to it at all. So like I'm saying all this to say that like the movie is called New World Order. It's like a conspiracy theory movie. So like the type of person, it's very funny to me that like the type of person that would try to watch this sincerely, like like if they had the same experience where like they went to Amazon Prime and like they couldn't find it, right? So I went, I went to Twitter and I was
Right,
I
right.
searched like the title of the movie and like Amazon Prime censored and stuff like that, and I did. Yeah, there was someone that was like talking about it, like it was censored from Amazon Prime, and like you can watch it on YouTube. So like you said that as well. So I watched it on YouTube, but I thought that was a good little preface to the movie. Kind of putting myself in the shoes of the sincere viewer.
Like the message is so
Big tech.
amazing.
Big
in this
tech
film.
it's too powerful. Yeah, they're censoring it. Jeff Bezos
yeah.
is censoring it.
This is like is similar to when we watched Amerigeddon, right? Like that movie, it was like a much pure distillation of like the kind of New World Order, globalist, UN, blue helmet takeover conspiracy thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one is much more focused on Christianity.
Yeah,
right?
there were a few good overlaps
yeah.
with this one, like especially at the end when there was like they mentioned like the alliance between the U.S., Russia,
right? Yeah,
and China.
Russia and China. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's always the same thing.
Yeah.
But again, the whole like scope of this movie is a lot like narrower, I would say, because it's also like in the other movie there were like a lot of different characters doing a lot of different things. In this movie, it's mainly these two young women who are supposed to be like college aged, I guess.
But there's no character development.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
I can't even remember their fucking names.
Amerigeddon was better.
Her last name was
Holloway.
or Holiday. His name was like
Her name
Jason
was
or
Demi
something?
Holloway.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Oh yeah, there's the guy. Okay,
that's right.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning because even the chronology of the movie doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
It starts there, rounded up is the beginning, and then it flashes back, and then it flashes forward. Yeah.
Right. So in the opening of the movie, after like a 3-minute After Effects,
way too long. Yeah, the opening credits are absurd.
It cuts to there's like a bunch of people in the back of a van. They're all like crying, white people, and one of the guy has like a cross around his neck, right? And so you immediately get the sense like, okay, Christians are getting rounded up. On the side of the van it says like the Peace Force. Or whatever the name of the New World Order police force is. It's called the Peace and something.
I have no
right.
recollection.
Yeah. There were a lot of really funny names for all of the like government facilities and stuff. It's like a really dumb guy's idea of like Orwellian or something. The prison they take him to is called like the Resolution
It's like
facility.
A high schooler wrote it.
They're
going
there.
For processing,
yeah. So they go to get processed, and like a guy in a suit comes out who has like a concert stamp on his forehead, which is like the mark of the beast. And he's like, "We're gonna kill you all unless you submit to the beast." And then it cuts to our like two main girls, and they're like, I knew this was gonna happen. And then we get like a flashback.
It's funny, by the way, that Cari, that you said it feels like it's written by a high schooler, because that scene that you're talking about, Shane, it looks like it's shot in a high school gymnasium. Like it's got the white bricks behind it. It looks like it's literally shot in a school. But it's funny, like what you just described, that like part where it's like, well, you have to get the mark or die. It like, I mean, really, this is like the entire point of the movie, and really, it's just like I remember like on Instant Messenger there was like a meme that would like 20 years ago, and then on Facebook as well. There's like a very common like meme or like internet meme I've seen among like Christian circles or whatever. That's like the thing that like if someone had a gun to your head and asked you, it said, if you don't denounce Jesus Christ, I'm gonna kill you. Like, would you do it? Right? That's this entire movie is that meme like in a
what
narrative.
If it really happened?
Right, and it took an hour and 35 minutes.
There's a lot of like other stuff that kind of touches on the idea of revelations, or Chris, as you mentioned, like later on in the movie, there's like kind of, and at the beginning of the movie too, there's like a few little hints of like stuff going on in the world. Right, but fundamentally, the movie is just like, are you gonna get this tattoo on your face or your hand that is like I don't know how, it's like an NW. It really looks like a concert stamp thing. It looks like shit. Like, put some design into that, right? Like, and so then there's like a flashback, and all of this too, like Chris, like you were saying, shot in like a high school basement. That one or like gymnasium or whatever. Like everything here is shot in like the southwestern suburb.
It's like Arizona,
wherever they are.
suburbs,
I'm pretty sure it's Arizona.
Yeah, they're out like they're out in the Flagstaff suburbs or something.
So every building, so like all of the evil government buildings are like some strip mall thing that has like there's like a whole thing. So we go back in time to like before all the bad stuff happened.
Right, and it's worth pointing out, like this like you said, this movie came out in 2013, so like this is an Obama era. This is a product of the Obama era, right? And and so like you were saying, there's like, you know, in that flashback scene, right? There's like when everything's the good times when they're setting the story up or whatever, and like occasionally you overhear like the radio or like the television is like Iran was doing terrorism again today.
Yeah.
It's all about It's all about everything. It's all about Iran. So like this is very
the nuclear deal,
an Obama thing.
Yeah. That's the only little hint of like the outside world stuff, and again because we're seeing everything through the lenses of these two, again presumably college students. But like when we first get to the flashback, she's like sitting in like a corporate park with nobody else around. And I was trying to, and she's just like reading the Bible. She's literally just reading Revelations. And I was like, is she supposed to be a college student? Because and clearly like they couldn't even film at the community college or whatever, so they just filmed in like an empty, you know, like corporate park kind of like office park thing,
which is just like below Neil Breen quality of filmmaking. Like they're not even trying.
No, this this reminded me of Neil Breen, actually. It really did.
Yeah.
But like worse, and somehow like
with
less
nothing,
coherent.
without even the endearing weirdness of him.
There's no heart.
Right.
So our main girl, she wears like a beanie. So I'm gonna say beanie, and then there's the other
blonde one.
So beanie is like reading the Bible, and then like, all right, time to get in my SUV. And then she like hits a guy when she's backing up. A guy that she has like eyes with a guy. And she's like, oh, he's like another
like
hot teen, and it's like a man in his 40s.
Yeah. It's like a budget early 2000s Brad Pitt.
Right.
Yeah.
So she like hits him, and there's a lot of awkward dialogue, and it ends up with like, let's go on a date. And so then she like convinces her friend to like go on a double date with them, and they go to the Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever, and they sit at the bar. And that's when, like, on the TV, it's like Iran is doing terrorism.
Yeah. The president gave them nukes.
Is it before this or after this that they reveal that the guy is a stripper?
No, that's the scene. So then it's like, she, like, her friend is like, the blonde friend is sort of like, I don't know if I want to go on this date, but like, okay, like, how do you know this guy? And the guy is like, he's like a male stripper, and there's like a bunch of hokey dialogue about that. Like his friend is there, and he's like, are you gonna pay with singles for the beers? And like, and so then there's just like this weird, and so you think like, okay, so what we're gonna now see, right, based on the setup of this movie, is like, we saw at the beginning, they're getting rounded up.
Right.
Now we're going back in time, there's like stuff on TV, so I got excited, I thought we're gonna see like apocalypse. We're gonna see the world fall apart. And immediately after that scene, it just says like 3 years later.
Right.
And now it's Beanie Girl's parents watching TV, and on the TV they're just like, the New World Order government, led by Emperor Supreme Chancellor Aldo DeLuca, demands that you put the mark of the beast. It's mandatory. And then this was like my breaking point in the movie. This is like 10 minutes in. The mom turns to the dad and is like, our freedom's gone now? Like, and the whole idea is at this point, they're already in, we fast forwarded, and now the world is under the control of the beast. I would have thought,
the rapture has literally happened at this point. Like, the rapture happened.
Right, they throw that in, like, even at a later point, But it's funny, too, like, when they do that flash, well, first of all, like you said, the expectation they set up with the flashback, it's like based on what we know from the introduction, and there's this flashback, she meets this guy, I was like, okay, this guy is like worships Satan or something, and he's going to like,
he's a stripper.
Right, that's the way it's set up, and then it just says 3 years later, and it cuts to this older couple that look like her, and then the guy, he's got long hair and a ponytail, and like the younger guy had long hair, and I was like, it said 3 years, this isn't supposed to be them, like age progressed. because you don't know who the fuck these
There's
people
no context.
You don't know who these people
Nope.
are. You have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
And there's like a 5-minute scene with them, and then it cuts to her, and like, oh, okay, that's her parents.
And Cari, you looked this up because I was confused throughout the whole movie about the timeline of this, but I guess that there's different like millenarian denominations of Christians who believe like that there's a different like sequences in terms of when things happen.
Right, there's pre-tribulationists and post-tribulationists, and you can actually see this divide in the reviews for this film if you look it up on Amazon. Some people are really upset by the order of the events presented in the film because it does not align with their belief system at all, and they're like, this is bullshit. And somebody wrote like 6 paragraphs about the scripture around this, so definitely check it out.
So can you explain for our audience the difference between pre-tribulationists and post-tribulationists?
I'm really drunk. I think the basic difference is that like some of them believe that there's going to be the tribulations, and then that's when everybody gets like taken up to heaven or whatever afterwards, after this trial, all these trials that they're facing, which I guess is what they're showing in the film. And then other people believe that like the rapture just like happens, and that there's no like test period. It's like your life on earth was like that test period or whatever. So I guess that's
right, because what they reference in the film. So basically, what we never see, but what has happened in this reality is the rapture happens, and all of the good Christians got taken to heaven. Now everybody else is left on earth, but there are still Christians there, and so those Christians have to like go through resistance and tribulation because they weren't good enough to first get taken up in the rapture. So now they have to suffer under the reign of the beast, and like that process of them suffering and making that decision about like whether or not I should get the mark of the beast is the test that says whether or not they go to heaven. This is conjecture because it's not explained.
It's supposed to happen after this. And if I explain this wrong, please email Dwight about it and let him know.
There is there is a sequel.
All
so
the secrets will be revealed.
Okay. Jesus might come back. Yeah.
Where were we?
So anyway, so now we're in. Okay, so now we're in 3 years later. So the rapture has happened.
Right. So yeah, the conversation between her parents and like there's one like, and it's like you said, she just like turns to him and is like, have they taken our freedoms away? And he's like, no, honey, we didn't do anything wrong. We don't have anything to worry about. Only the guilty people have something to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, it's like this almost felt like reminiscent of like Bush era kind of conversation that sort of got taken up. Like I feel like there's a very sort of like libertarian bend to this movie. It's sometimes because like specifically like again I think this was back in the beginning of this may have been a flash forward to the scene where they're all like locked up in handcuffs and being processed, but it's like there's like this very long scene where like the person like sitting like the receptionist is like it's like very banal, right? And like she's like next, like you're at the DMV.
Oh, you guys didn't mention right at the beginning there's the John Connor reference. That's the first person they call up right at the beginning.
Right. Yeah. So it's almost like, it's like even like, the secret like satanic Obama New World Order, it's like it's going to have all that fucking bureaucracy.
It's like the DMV. It's like the DMV. It's not even threatening or whatever. It's so the parents are like concerned. They're watching the TV. The dad is like, "There's nothing to worry about. We can trust the government." And then like the beanie, our main girl, she's like, "I don't want to get the mark of the beast. I'm studying. I'm still in college." And so she like meets up with her other friend, and they're like, "Let's go get something to eat."
Everything's normal.
And that's also. And that's like the dad too, like before she goes, the dad is like, "Are you gonna get the mark, honey? Like, if you don't get it, you're not gonna be able to buy food." So they go to like a strip mall, like outside eating area of like what is almost certainly an actual local chain. It's called like Pizza Joe's or something. Yeah. And they go and they're sitting outside and somebody comes over and is like, "Do you want food?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'd love to order some food." And then she like looks around and notices that everybody already has like the mark, all the waitresses have the mark. And then she sees a little girl like eating a piece of pizza with like a mark on her hand. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is awful. This is so horrible."
Hold on, you forgot the best part of that scene. Before they cut to that little girl, she's like, "Did you hear about that 9-year-old who killed his parents?"
Oh, yeah. I didn't even.
Right,
That
right,
didn't
right,
even,
right.
I didn't even process that as weird. Yeah, that there was just no resolution to that. It was just a thing, some throwaway dialogue about a 9-year-old.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then I think that they say like he didn't even get arrested because his parents were like in the resistance, so they were like bad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. There's like hints of an idea that there's like Christian resistors to this New World government, and like, you know, again, there's like no sense of tension or threat. There are attempts to like, again, trickle in these ideas like you were just saying, like with the throwaway line of dialogue about like, oh, there's like horrible things happening in the world, but it's like literally people are just like sitting outside like sipping like Jamba Juice and eating pizza like happily with the mark of the beast, and they're like, oh my god.
I think in the bar scene there were like 3 separate news stories that they did. Like one was like Syria, there was like some other assassination attempt. They keep trying to build the tension, but it's just like there is no tension.
Right. Yeah. And like even by this point, like they've, you know, established this idea of like this new world order, this government, and like, but like you're watching this and like you were saying, like this you know, cafe scene where like everybody's just sitting around being normal, and like why, like, so why, how are they evil? Like what do they do?
Right.
Like what's like why,
right.
why are they so bad? What have they done? Right. And like even like in my notes here, I forgot about this. There's another little snippet of dialogue in that first scene where they're in the prison being processed, right? In the guy, it's like almost this sort of like vaguely communist kind of language when he's like sort of like justifying their, you know, rule or whatever. He's like, well, you know, why should anybody suffer? Everybody, you know, everybody's equal. We just want everybody to get along and be happy and like that sort of thing, you know?
Right. Yeah. And again, there's no indication except for, again, a few lines of dialogue. There's no like, you know, I mean, as we were watching this, I was just like rewriting the movie in my head. It's like, why not have like, you know, you have a loudspeaker or something at the cafe that's like a red curfew is now in effect.
Right,
like
right.
you must return to your homes, and or like, you know, now everybody put down your fucking Starbucks. It's time to worship Moloch. We're gonna sacrifice a child. Yeah. Like there's nothing like that to suggest that they're evil.
Even more simply, like I thought the setup was gonna be, because just like you said, the scene we just saw was like the father was like, well, if you don't get the mark, you can't even buy food. And then she goes to the restaurant. There's this whole scene like you're describing, and then like the waitress takes your order, and like as she's picking up the menus, you see the mark on her hand, but there's no indication that they didn't get their food, right? I thought that was going to be the payoff. They ate normally. Yeah.
There's no like, all right, now present your mark, we'll scan it, we'll charge your account or whatever. Nothing like that. They were just gonna get their food anyway. So they get up. They're like, we can't eat Jamba Juice. And they're like freaking out, and they're like, we're gonna have to like run away.
Did her
like,
parents
what are we
already
gonna
get
do?
the mark at that
and
point?
then so then it cuts to her parents like go to like the church
Depot.
meeting room that is pretending to be the DMV, where with like a bunch of, you know, those like stackable chairs all lined up, and everybody who goes to the church is sitting there, you know, looking very sad or whatever.
Yeah,
they get called up, and then like, again, a totally tensionless kind of thing is like the parents get called up to get the mark, and then the DMV lady is like, you know, asks for both of their IDs in like excruciatingly real time. Like it has to wait for them to take out each of their identifications, and then after she like registers them, she's like, is there anybody else in your household? And the dad is like, no, there isn't. And the woman like looks at them and is like, okay. So then they get their like tattoos, and then as they're like leaving, out comes like, you know, the slick hair back,
right. the evil person,
evil guy who we saw at the very beginning of the movie, right? Like, and he's like, oh, hello, congratulations on, you know, becoming one with Satan. And they're like, oh, thank you, sir.
I'm having a wonderful day being evil. How are you?
Yeah. And then the dad is like, is there anything I can help you with? And, you know, the tension there is like, oh, like the guy maybe knows about the daughter or whatever. Like, is the dad going to say anything? And the guy goes like, no, that's fine. And so then they start walking down the hallway, and then 30 seconds later, the guy doesn't even do like the Columbo turnaround thing. He's just watching them walk down the hallway, and he goes like, actually, there is something. Your daughter where is she? We know that she's not getting the mark. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's busy right now. She's gonna come back and get it. And he's like, okay.
She better do it.
End scene. End scene. And so then, fuck. Oh god, it's so stupid.
I can't
I
even
think
remember.
the next scene is the reporters and they're recording the news or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's yet another. So yeah, this all these like we said in the beginning of the film, there's these recurring news segments, right? And there's the two national news reporters or whatever. Wasn't one of them's last name literally Jennings, like Peter Jennings or something?
Alan Jennings, and then Geneva.
Yes,
I think that was like
Jennings.
Geneva Salvatore.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Salvatore.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's this scene where they're doing the news and they're like, the president, everybody's going to be, you got to get the mark. What do they say? They say something really stupid like violence has been sanctioned or is now justified against people.
Yeah,
who
they're
don't get the
criminals
mark
now.
and
Yeah.
Right.
you can be killed. Right. You will be executed. So they do their news story, and then they're going to walk off the set, and then their boss, who is this woman with this kind of black hair and bangs, but you can see the mark through her through the hair on her forehead, and that's their boss, and she's because they don't have the mark themselves, which again
It doesn't make any sense.
Why would you put
Step
somebody on
Step one would be get all the government and media officials and force them to get the mark.
Presumably, if you clearly own this person who is the boss of the TV station, the very first thing you would do is make sure everyone on TV has the mark. And so but even again, here's another example of that, the idea of bureaucracy with the whole thing. She's like, my life's miserable enough as it is. I don't need the NWO, the New World Order, breathing down my neck too about this, right? So and then there's that scene, and they're like, okay,
we're gonna get it.
Yeah, we were just on our way to go get it right now. Everything's
right.
fine.
It makes no. They do one news broadcast, and then they get up and they walk out of the studio. As they're walking out, she confronts them, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're right on our way." How is the news
are
work?
so unclear.
They literally, but what we watch too is like the introductory headlines to the news, right? They do that the first 2 minutes of the broadcast,
right? Of what would be an hour.
They go, okay, that's it for us. That's our job. We're out of here. Yeah, get the mark, or you're gonna be shot in the street like a dog.
Or you could just walk over at a leisurely pace and do it on your own time. Either way that you want to do it, doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. There's no control or oversight. So then it cuts away, and then the main girl, Beanie Girl, she goes back home. And her parents are there, and they're like, you have to get the mark. And she's like, I'm not gonna. That's the Satan's mark. Oh, no, wait. She hasn't
even figured that out yet.
She goes to meet her boyfriend, the male stripper. She's still with him 3 years later.
This is the first time we've seen him, I believe, since they met.
And they go under a tree, and she's like, I'm so nervous about the mark. And he's like, don't you realize what the mark is? It's Satan.
Yeah.
And he takes out Revelations. Again, he takes out the Bible. He's reading it to her. And then this is the best bit of dialogue.
This was honestly my favorite part of the movie.
Because now we're going to get some world building in with a few sentences.
It's so good.
And at one point, he's like, okay, so you remember Supreme Chancellor, Lord of our universe, Aldo De Luca. Remember when he got killed? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, and he was like, that was right after Iran's brief rule over all of Europe.
Of course.
And she's like, yeah, and he was like, remember Al De Luca? He made the peace treaty to get Iran no longer being in control of all of Europe, and that's why he was killed, and then he came back to life. And she's like, and he's like, did you never think about how he came back to life?
Right.
And so then the reveal is Satan brought him back to life. And what's so amazing is it's Iran ruling over Europe as a throwaway line.
Right. Well, there's also in that same little monologue that he has, there's another one that's don't you remember a year ago when the rapture happened? That's the first time we find out that the rapture's already happened. This is what blew me away, because the first time we meet this character of this woman, the black-haired girl with the beanie, the first time we meet her, she's in her car reading the book of Revelation, right? 3 years later, what we know, the rapture has happened. There's something literally calling itself the New World Order.
Literally.
It's making you get something called the mark on literally on your forehead. They call it the mark.
And the leader of this has publicly died and been resurrected.
And like this is the point. But this is the point though, where she makes a connection. She's like, oh, and he like
shit.
he pulls out the Book of Revelation. He's like, see, it's all right here. You know, she's like, oh my god, this can't be true.
Right. So now she's like, she didn't want to get the mark before, but now she's like, I really don't want to get it. And so then she goes home, and her parents are like, honey, you really got to get the mark. And she's like, I'm not going to. And so then the mom calls the evil police.
Yes.
And the evil police show up, and they immediately start pointing their guns at the parents while the daughter's still in the house. Like, this happens within 10 seconds. She puts the phone down, and 2 guys come in to, like, capture the daughter.
Wasn't the rally before this?
No, the rally, maybe? I think the rally happens after.
I think it was, because remember, then he's, like, having the scene where they're, like, talking, and he has his, like, $90 desk from Staples. You know what I'm talking about? It was before this.
Yes. But, like, okay, so, I mean, the movie isn't even clear.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember the scene you're talking about.
The one where he's like, "We've already infiltrated all the cells of the resistance."
Wait. Okay, wait. But before we get there, so the beat in the house that's important is that the parents who have the mark, like, tell the daughter to get it. She's like, "No, I don't want to get it." The mom calls the cops. 15 seconds later, they break down the door. The daughter escapes. The cops let the daughter escape, and then they kill the parents. They just blow them away.
The dad, they're standing there. They got their hands up, and the guys got the guns, and the dad's like, "Is everything okay?"
Away.
And then the guy's like, "Yeah, it is." And then they just shoot him in the fucking head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just kill him.
I really like the handwritten card for the New World Order that the mom had, that she got the number from.
Yes.
Yeah, the mom has like a business card, and on the back of it, there's a phone number written on it. Where it's like, wouldn't it just be 911?
It's so
like,
good. It's so like it's so
666?
ham-fisted that like just to literally call it the New World Order.
Right.
Like when you could like call it anything else that's not stupid and imply that.
The global government, the UN, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so like, okay, so what Cari was saying, at some point concurrent to this, before or after, the Supreme Chancellor,
Tommy Wiseau,
the Antichrist, shows up. Also, like, deliberately ethnically ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
Like, he looked like every guy I dated in high school with, like, long hair and a ball chain.
He really, he gave me serious Tommy Wiseau vibe.
Yes. So he shows up, and there's, like, a rally at the reclamation facility, or whatever it is. And, of course, this is what I was talking about in terms of, like, budget, because you know what they were thinking. They were thinking, like, you know, like, giant, massive rally, like, the leader of the universe. And there's even like a there's like a TV broadcast at the rally where like there's a reporter being like the people are so happy he's here, and of course it's like 20
you can't believe
people,
how many people it is,
like at most, probably more like 10.
Yeah. Right.
Like and you know, and he's got his guards like pushing them away, and he comes up, and so now we have like evil Satan man, and then we have his stooge, the guy who's like in charge of the specific facility, the slick guy with the suit, and the slick guy with the suit kneels before him and like bends his head, and of course the main Satan guy, he's wearing also a suit, but he's wearing like a red vest. It's very clear like what's going on here, and I, as a joke, I turned to Cari and I was like, he's gonna say, right. and that was the fucking dialogue. He was like, rise, my certain. It was, they talk like prequel Sith. Right. It's so stupid. Yeah. He was, you know, he's like,
and this just the roaring crowd of like 15 people like that's watching it. Just like they're going nuts.
And then there's the one lady that ends up getting dragged away that screams like, "You're evil. You're Satan."
Yeah. She's like, "You're evil. You're a murderer. Yeah. You're a bad person."
She gets her head chopped off,
and so she gets carted away.
Dragged off.
And so now the Supreme Chancellor Antichrist is going to oversee operations from this like Arizona suburb instead of you know, whatever, like, again, there's like green screen in the movie. There's the shots, like, when they are in the news studio, clearly, like, they had access to, like, a soundstage. So, I kept thinking, I think his office then, because then when the evil Supreme Chancellor goes to his office, that also looks like it's a soundstage. And I was thinking, like, why not, you know, you put your green screen in, put him in a giant throne room with, like, a bunch of monitors, or, you know, like a world map, a globe, something like that. But instead, they have, like, a bunch of black curtains, a $90 Office Max desk, and he just sits there, and, like, and then his stooge, and we cut, like, back and forth from this, but his stooge comes up to him to bring him various pieces of news, one of which, at one point, he comes up to him and he's like, sire, the Turkish king has submitted to the New World Order. And that has to be, like, a literal thing in Revelations. I'm assuming there's got to be some reference to, you know, the Turkish king or whatever. And then the guy and the evil Lord Satan is like, he's like, were there any Christian resistors? And he's like, oh, there were some, but they've all been executed. And he goes, perfect. What about that one girl from the Jamba Juice? Have we tracked her down yet?
He's like so nervous about it, like, we're working on it.
And yeah, oh, sire, don't worry. There's, you know, we're going to find her. The curious thing is, she had no ties to the insurrection or any Christian underground thing. And he's like, oh wow.
And this is when they say, don't worry.
And that's a better performance.
Like, don't worry, all the cells have been, like, infiltrated or whatever, which is the little tip off to what's gonna happen.
Right. All the resistance cells are infiltrated. Okay, so then, like, we're back with the main girl and her blonde friend, and they're, like, driving to the resistance cell that's, like, in the woods, and it's, like, obviously it's, like, that guy's cabin, or it's, like, Grandpa's cabin, or whatever.
It's Grandpa's hunting lodge.
Right,
yeah.
and they go there, and this is supposed to be, like, these are, like, the underground Christians who are still practicing, who are, like, fighting against the government.
Revolution.
And it's like,
yeah, it's great.
It's like, there's, like, 12 guys, and, like, the leader, I guess, is blonde girl's boyfriend, who is also best friends with male stripper. And so, yeah, the guy from the double date. And so they go in, and then, like, oh, like, who else is there?
Alan Jennings.
The journalist.
Yeah, the journalists are there. Yeah, there's another really great guy there. There's a big burly guy in flannel with a bicked, bald head and a big beard. You know, he's really good. Yeah, he's my favorite guy, I think.
There's like two.
Yeah, he's like, I've been doing a lot of. We've done some reconnaissance on some bogeys, and we've ascertained their position, and
yeah. There's like 2 or 3 like no neck,
they're all jacked.
pure muscle men who have like crosses on. And they're all like cool operators. There's some idea that like they were all veterans or something. Yeah. It's never explained. But so then they have like a plot to infiltrate the New World Order government, and they go through it one by it's supposed to be, this is like the Ocean's 11 planning scene. And so, and one of them is like I could take care of the guards.
That's the guy. That's the big beard guy. There's another great part in there where he's like explaining like, you know, what they use, like their primary secret weapon that they use to like, you know, get control of everybody is the internet, right? So so then he's like, so what we're gonna do is like we're gonna use the internet against them. So I've like I've hacked and gotten all of their sensitive intel on all of their political and military blah 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 blah. But like it's like
he says with the help of God,
right? But
I've created an algorithm.
But like, did they post that on the internet? What does the internet have to do? You mean computers? They both have to do with computers.
Right. I mean, this is like at this point, it's like 50 minutes into the movie. Yeah. And there's never been any indication that there's like at all an internet digital network connection to this at all.
Again,
this
is a shot of
just like buzzwordy.
They were using Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, you know, he fucking like when he deleted your account because you said that Nancy Pelosi should be hanged for treason. Like when they banned you on Facebook for that, you know, they also stole all your sensitive sensitive information, and they're eventually going to sell that.
I
to
mean,
the
what
Antichrist.
makes sense is something that you said, Shane, while we were watching the movie, and the characters just like called each other on their cell phones. Is like the New World Order should like control all communication at this stage.
Yes.
It's been several years that they've been in charge.
Yeah, right. And they even like they're having that conversation where they're being chased. Like they know they're being pursued, and they're like, "Where are you?" It's like, "Oh, I'm at the corner of such and such and such and such." Exact specific location. Yeah.
Right, yeah, just on your cell phone. I mean, again, this is like the laziness of the world building here, which is that like if this was like these were the first steps,
these are early days,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, and that's kind of what was going on in Armageddon, right? Like here are the first few steps of the takeover. Here's how the resistance is going to formulate. This is like years into the literal embodiment of Satan, who has died and resurrected on television.
Right.
It controls the entire world. Like there wouldn't have AT&T.
And again, from the few small glimpses we got of the world, the normal world outside of the characters, it doesn't look too bad.
Right, everything is
It looks fine.
Looks just like normal. Yeah, just everything. People are happy.
Normal suburban, strip mall Pizza Hut.
Which
life.
I guess
It's
makes
fine.
sense if like all the Christians or most of the Christians got taken up in the rapture, because everybody else who's left is not a Christian.
I think the idea is because there were some lines in there where like the main girls together were like, why are we still here? We should have done more good deeds. So I think the idea is like the super good Christians got taken up like a year ago.
Actually, by the way, I was gonna say it actually fits in with the timeline of the movie. After I said the pre and post tribulationists, there's a group of people called mid tribulationists that are specifically focused on like a 3.5 year period, which actually goes perfectly.
I see. There we go.
That's it.
That's the thing.
That's it.
And there is, there is a little bit of setup to them like being left behind, like in that flashback, that first flashback in the movie where like she meets the guy and they go on the double date, right? And she's like asking her friend like if she wants to come. She's like, "We can't do that tonight. It's Sunday."
You're right.
But they go, they both go and do it anyway, and then they get to the bar, right?
Oh, that
and then,
must be before the rapture.
The waitress is she's like, "Yeah, what are you going to be having?" And then she's like, a beer." Right,
right,
like
right,
that.
right,
You know
right,
that.
right.
You're going to hell.
Like a minor sinner. She's a minor sinner.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sorry. You
Oh
wasn't
my
good enough.
god, that just totally
yeah. But so there's still these still are all the Christian groups, and the other amazing thing too is besides like the mention of Iran conquering all of Europe, which again is the weird reactionary.
It can't happen.
Fear.
It can't happen soon enough. Inshallah.
Like the thing, like they mention when they mention resistance groups, right? They mention only the idea of like Christian resistance groups, which is weird because like I don't know, like wouldn't there just be like wouldn't every faith have a resistance group? Wouldn't there be like a Maoist insurgency or something against like the new world? Like there would be
the ones,
like all of these.
They all went to heaven.
Right.
Everybody but the evangelical Christians, they got raptured.
Right, there you go. There you go. So anyway, so we're in the hunting lodge, and at this point, they have the plan. We're gonna blow up the New World Order headquarters in Flagstaff, Arizona, or whatever. That's what they're planning. They're planning like to attack the government. Whatever.
Well, that's how they got the intel. They used the secret.
Right, yeah, they used the
intel. Encrypted algorithms.
With the help of God.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right,
we got the ops. Yeah, we did
I'm so stupid.
psyops and we got lots of HUMINT, right? And SIGINT. Yeah.
So then like the male stripper guy who's main girl's boyfriend is like,
how dare you?
All
He's
right,
a future dentist.
all right, we're gonna. Oh yeah, there's like a line about him, and maybe our main girl is also training to be a dentist. Unclear, very unclear.
I don't remember either of those details.
And so he's like, I'm gonna go, even though we're all here and we just discussed the plan. I'm gonna go outside and like
Just
do
hanging out.
recon around in the woods, and one of the buff guys looks at him kind of weird, like, oh, something's up there, but lets him go. And so then he goes out to like do recon, and it's very clear because then at this point, evil Satan and his stooge back in the fucking soundstage get a phone call, and they're like, oh yes, it's time. We've got them.
But there's another great scene, by the way, that we might have seen by now, where it might be this scene where we pan back to like the Tommy Wiseau Antichrist guy, and he's like sitting in his office with like the black sheets on the walls, whatever. And he's like,
yeah.
And he's like this classical, there's like chamber music playing, and he's like conducting.
Yeah.
And it's like this very, it's like you know what they were going for was like Anthony Hopkins in like Silence of the Lambs or something. This like very sinister scene. But it's like,
right.
And the guy comes in and he starts talking to him, and he's talking. They're having this conversation, and he never turns around. He just keeps doing the fucking thing, and it's totally out of sync with the music or anything.
It's so good.
It's good stuff. Yeah, it's
and it's awful, and it's awful opera music
awful.
too. It's like a MIDI. I'm like at that point, you know what I mean? Like get like a Gregorian chant or I don't know, something like truly wicked or evil sounding. This was clearly like. This is like, you know, what he does for his main job is he like cuts mixes for like the local church group of their stuff on like in GarageBand, and they make like a CD out of it. And so this is what they're using. But yeah, there's this idea, you know, he's like listening to, you know, he's reveling and just being evil, staring at like a couple of black curtains hung up by C-stands, going like, and so they're like, sire, we found the two college student girls in the woods, and he's like, do it, execute order 66. And so then we cut back, and so the blocking of this is really important, right? So stripper guy is in the woods. Obviously, he's a Judas. His best friend, who's head of the resistance movement, is like, I'm gonna go check on him. Then it cuts to the two girls in the suburban kitchen. And they're like, let's go. You want to make some sandwiches for the boys? And they go into the fridge and they make like 2 cold cut sandwiches and put it in like a Ziploc bag. And so then they're like, they walk through the woods with the Ziploc bag, and it keeps like cutting to them. They have a Ziploc bag with 2 cold cut sandwiches, and then we cut, and then we see like best friend talks to stripper guy, and he's like, how does it look? And the stripper guy's like, oh, it looks fun. And then like it cuts back to the girls, and they're like, ha ha ha, we're gonna go see our boyfriends and give them sandwiches. And then oh my god, it reveal, punch out, and we see blonde stripper guy who's main girl's boyfriend with a kitchen bread knife covered in fake blood standing over dead resistance leader.
Yeah.
And they're both like, oh my god.
It's like slow-mo a little bit.
And they drop the bag of sandwiches.
Yeah,
and there's a punch in. Yeah. You know, that would be, again, like a rosary. My mother's rosary, whatever. Something of importance. And I let it go, like a symbolic moment. But instead, it's 2 turkey sandwiches. No cheese, no condiments.
Some bread sandwiches.
Just 2 dry turkey sandwiches.
Low budget, man. It's just 4 slices of bread. They're not going to pay for cold cuts.
They had to pick those back up and eat them. That was their lunch for the day.
Yeah.
That was the actual. Yeah.
So that guy's dead.
And so then, like, one of the burly guys,
when this guy dies, when the parents die, I felt nothing.
Nothing. No,
I felt nothing.
Not.
There's nothing.
There's no substance. There's nothing to make me care about these people at all. It's just like meaning, like okay, they're dead.
Bye bye.
All right.
And so then one of the big burly muscle men comes in.
My favorite guy. He's
and
the best guy.
So cool.
Tackles. The betrayer, and then they fight on the ground for like 10 minutes.
And this is the part where you're like, 15 minutes ago he said he was the one that was going to take out the guards on their secret missions. Like he's the tough badass guy. Now we have this like absurdly long fight scene in the woods between the two of them.
They're like strangling each other on the ground, and then the main girl picks up the knife.
Mm-hmm.
3
waits
minutes.
for her boyfriend to kill the other guy, and then plunges her knife into his back. And
then it's his big scene.
Oh my god! And then the guy gets up, and he's like coming at her, And I thought, like, here you go, cool line of action dialogue, something religious,
Say Hail Satan,
whatever,
anything.
Maybe another guy blows him away. Yeah, as he dies, like, I die for you, Aldo de Luca, whatever, anything. Or as he's approaching her, you know, like half dead, like, I'm gonna get you. Then his head explodes. Boom! Cut over. Another big fat guy would be like you know, like Merry Christmas. Like anything. Nothing. He just falls over, and then they just hear gunshots in the woods.
Right, yeah.
And they're just like, oh, everybody else is dead.
But then the big burly guy, he also gets up. Yeah, he gets up.
Yeah.
And then, right, and then like they hear gunshots, and then the main girl is like talking like in the operator language to the other guy. She's like, how did they figure out our position? Right?
Right.
Okay, well, you know, we got to stay low. I'm gonna go up ahead and do some recon and you know see if I can track the bogeys. Right, so then they're being chased in the woods with guns.
And then there's like a survivor woman from the group shows up, and then like another big burly guy,
big meathead dude, yeah.
And then there's like more fighting, and the upshot is at the end one of them dies, and the New World Order guys have captured them, and now
we're back to the beginning of the movie.
And now we're back to the beginning of the movie. They're in the back of the van. They're corralled with like a group of other people. Oh, I totally forgot. At the very beginning of the movie, everybody's sad in the van except one young man.
Yes.
Who's like, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And then that young man like periodically shows up around blonde girl. Not our main girl, but like around blonde girl. He's like walking around in the fucking suburban cul-de-sac just like looking at her. And I knew he's gonna be Jesus, or he's gonna be Angel, or he's gonna be something, right? Like, there's some setup here. So now we're like all the way. This is the climax of the movie. They're in the fucking the high school,
gymnasium.
You know,
on a
place
Sunday
where you store the dodgeballs,
right after his kid's basketball game.
And they're like, you know, they're all sitting there. They're like weeping, and there's like a loudspeaker, and the idea here is like, you have one last chance. You can take the mark, or you can fucking die. And they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? We can't take the mark. Oh, boo-hoo. And so they start calling people up in the loudspeaker, and the first guy they call up is the burly guy, the big burly guy. Right. And they're like, you know, he's got some name like Mike Head, and he gets up, and he's got a cross around his neck, and he's just like 400 pounds of hate and muscle, and he stands up, and he's like, he doesn't say anything, but you could tell on his face. Again, no line. Yeah. There could have been a cool line. I was saying, why doesn't he say I walk through the valley of death, but I know no thing because thou art with me. Whatever. Nothing. He just gets up, confrontationally looks at the bureaucrats, and gets, taken behind the curtain.
He's dead.
We don't know what happens. And the two main girls are like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? What should our main girl that we've been through the whole movie, she's like, I'm sorry to the other one. She's like, I'm sorry. I could have led a better example for you. I thought like, okay, here's the arc. Here's what the movie is going to be about. It's going to be about like how she realizes that she should have done better with her life. And she's like, I'm going to, if you kill me, it doesn't matter. I'll go to heaven. That idea. But she gets up, she gets called in. Then her blonde friend gets called in. But then there's the angel guy is there. And he just like touches her. He just looks at her and he like touches her. And he's like, everything's going to be okay. And then she looks up and he's not there. She's like, oh my God, who is that? That must be an angel. No dialogue to communicate this, just confused looks.
She doesn't even have a reaction to it. She has no reaction to that.
No. I am vastly overstating every emotive moment that happens in this movie.
No emotion.
Because I am trying to mine this piece of shit for some content. But the blonde girl then is getting carried into the back. She sees her friend come out, our protagonist.
Right.
And our protagonist, she's holding her hand. She's like, I'm sorry, I had to. And we see the reveal. She's got the concert bar stamp on her hand.
She did it.
And
again,
our blonde girl.
And again, her parents willingly went down to the DMV and got the mark, right? And then
got killed anyway.
Called the police on their daughter because she didn't get it, and then both just got
completely
shot
inconsistent.
And then they just let her just get it after running and trying to actively overthrow their shit.
Okay, climax of the film. our main protagonist girl,
Right on
she
her
got the mark.
hand. Where some people get it, other people get it on
right
their
on her-
forehead. No way to know where you're gonna get it.
Why would
It's
you?
unclear.
Why would you get it on your forehead when you
I
get it on
don't
your
know.
hand? I guess you want to be proud, or I don't know.
I-
You could just get it on your hand, and like, how much would that really affect your
Anywhere.
Put it on your back.
day-to-day life?
Put it on
Can you
your
get it
neck.
anywhere? Yeah.
Unclear.
Right, yeah.
Absurd, ridiculous.
So,
That's bureaucracy for you.
right, there you go.
Got to count the beans, man.
Do you have form 27B? Sorry, then it goes right on the forehead. You know. So then now our blonde girl who we have no emotional investment. As little emotional investment as we have in the protagonist. Blonde girl is led into the marking chamber. And here we get a nice little prop. And the second I saw it, I was like, why haven't we seen this prop before? This is the best thing in the movie. It's like a little saw device.
Yes.
That
They
is
should have mined it for all they could.
right, exactly. Like a menacing shot. Again, like, you know, you have Al DeLuca be like, my marking device is complete. And then, you know, maybe in like misty light and you don't really see it or
Right.
anything. But no, in literally the last 30 seconds of the movie, there's this like weird thing you put your neck into. It's unclear if this is the machine that both kills you
And marks you?
and gives you the mark. But anyway, the blonde girl gets into the machine.
Hold on, you admit
She puts her
she's
head.
singing Amazing Grace this whole time.
Yes.
Oh my God, you're
Unbearable.
right. I forgot.
That was-
I forgot.
I couldn't look at the TV. It was so.
Again,
it was
I
unbearable.
thought as she was walking down the hallway because she has this whole moment with her friend who is the main protagonist of the film, who's like, I don't want you to die. I love you. I got the mark. It won't be a big deal. Whatever. And blonde girl is like, no, I can't do it. And so now she's being led down to her death. And again, my thought was like, you know, Hail Mary, Mother of God, the Lord is with thee. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, have her
Pray,
pray.
pray,
Have her
That's
do it,
Catholic,
or have her
man.
recite.
These people hate
Right.
Catholics. Whoever made this.
Anything. And instead, this blonde young woman starts singing Amazing Grace. And totally just unbelievable cringe. Like, so awful. And so she gets let in. She puts herself willingly into the kill machine. And the operator of the kill machine is Slick Stooge of evil. And he's like, do you think what you're doing is noble? And she keeps singing the song.
That's right.
She, like, after having a 30-second break, she's like, it saved a wretch like me. And then we hear, like, the locking sound of, like, the guillotine fucking thing that she's in. And you think, like, okay, she's gonna get killed. She's gonna do the noble sacrifice. And then we'll see some moment, some indication that, like, you know, that was the right choice. She wakes up in a, you know, a bed of pillows, billowing pillows in a white gown or whatever. No, she gets into the thing, gets executed, end of movie.
Scene, bin.
Over.
Roll credits.
And roll the
No
Doom
flash to
style
white,
credits at the
nothing.
end.
Right.
Not even like uplifting music, nothing.
What that really reminded me of, though, was like there was a TikTok. You probably saw it, like circulated on Twitter like a month or so ago. Of that girl posted that was like
The vaccine.
you
of
will
course,
get
of
the
course.
you will get the vaccine.
Yes,
She's like, no, please don't give me the vaccine, right? And she's like
Yeah.
hit and her face is bloody, and it's almost like, I mean, it's like this obsession so much with like being persecuted, right?
It's like a
This
fantasy.
movie is
Right,
like this,
right.
specifically this last scene. Yeah, it's like it's the same kind of instinct. And I bet you Barbara, my roommate, we were watching it. She was like, she's like, they should just like build like a theme park where these people can go and like just experience like being persecuted or crucified or whatever, like being persecuted for their beliefs, because they just get off on it constantly.
Here's the thing, again, in cinema, right? Like, even if you're gonna do the religious thing, right? Like, you think about like Passion of the Christ, right? Which is another persecution, torture porn movie. Still, at the end of that movie, there's like there's that like string of hope. You know, there's that like idea of like all of this was for something. Right. Like, this led to something. If you go to those like insane evangelical New Testament land parks that they have, like those amusement parks, they do like the Passion Play thing, and then Christ rises again, right? Like that he comes out again. There's some indication, flowery, angelic music in the last second before she dies, a moment, something to, maybe she looks up, that angel guy, he's there. He's got his hand on her shoulder. Something to indicate like, I am with you. I will be with you. Like, I am here for you.
I wonder if it's purposeful. What if it's supposed to be like the people who made this movie are not mid-tribulationists? They really believe that when the rapture happened, all the good people were taken up. And so this ending...
so these people are all just fucked from the beginning.
If you try your best during this time, it's not enough. If it's already after the rapture, you had to have done it before the rapture, and you didn't. So now it's just cut to black when you get killed, no matter how much you sacrifice. Think about it.
I'll be damned. There is a sequel.
We gotta check it out.
There is a sequel. Yeah. It'd be funny if it's like just none of the same actors.
It'd be funny if it's the blonde girl but in hell.
I mean, probably.
Like she's just in hell.
She goes through all of that and now she's in hell. I mean, Chris, I think what you were saying, is right. It's this whole movie, like, while less interesting and I think like just like as involved as the conspiracy when we watch like Armageddon.
Right.
This movie does speak to that sense of persecution, the idea, bringing up like the stuff going on in the Middle East, throwing it in there, like, that there's cells of Christians resisting, and of course the absurdity of it is that then in the actual like rendering of what that persecution looks like, it's like maybe if I go to, Little Caesars at the strip mall and I don't have the tattoo, they won't like serve me the pizza. Like that's really all you get out of this movie. And I don't know if that's a failure of just like budget or if it's just a pure failing of imagination. Because like if you put Revelations in its context when it was written, like Christians were being like thrown to lions, right? Like there are imaginations of persecution that go beyond just like, can I buy cereal at the grocery store or whatever, but like that's what it gets down to because that is the life that's being led by the people who make this kind of crap.
But even in that context, they didn't show that being taken away. They still went to like the Jamba Juice and ordered their meal with no problem.
Exactly. Nobody nothing happened. Nothing. Like there was besides being forced to get the tattoo and the parents being killed.
They got killed anyway.
There were no stakes. There was no presentation. And rewriting the movie in my head, I was thinking like, what if it's like when you get the mark of the beast, it's like the Body Snatchers type thing, right? Where it's like, I'm nervous. I don't know if I should do it. You get the mark of the beast and then you come out and, your soul is gone. So now you're just like, I'm so happy. I'm one with Aldo De Luca, ruler of all things.
Right, like that. They could have shown the brunette, like now she's like completely devoted, because it is supposed to be like a mark of like devotion,
right? Yeah, she
and
comes
loyalty
out
or whatever.
That was another thing
nothing.
I had mentioned too, because obviously, even within the limitations of the movie, like on After Effects, you can do like one shot of somebody's eyes, fire in the eyes, something, like something to be like, oh, there's like something inside of them has changed. Like getting the mark changes who you are. It twists your soul. But even like with the parents, they get the mark, and they before they get the mark, they're like, the dad is like, okay, honey, let's go get the mark, and then afterwards he's like, all right, honey, we got the mark. Like there's nothing. There's no stake.
Great movie.
I would think also that like if someone refused to get the mark and like you were gonna kill them, you would just mark them anyway against their will, or you killed them.
Right. There's some purpose to the mark, I guess.
Right. If the mark is inherently like what is evil or like what changes you in some way, I don't know. Like why
it takes your soul or something.
Yeah. Is it like the Antichrist is like a vampire? Like you have to invite him in your house. Like he can't just give you the mark. Like you have to say, I want the mark. Like what is I don't understand.
And then again, that goes to the ridiculousness of these two particular girls getting persecuted. Because, like, the Antichrist is, like, actively wants them to get the mark. Right. And it would be, again, rewrite in my head. It was like, what if this is, like, the most perfect, innocent Christian girl? And so that's why the Antichrist wants to get her soul. He's like, it's so pure. I'll be so fucking high.
That'll really,
if I can just get
God's ass if I get this girl's soul.
Right, exactly. Like, there's something really going on here. But like even him again, it's not as interesting a performance as Palpatine, but like it's really written like Star Wars prequels. There's a fucking moment where the guy Alda Luca, the Antichrist, says to his stooge, he's like, I sense conflict in you.
Yeah.
And the conflict is like, I haven't gotten the girls for you yet, sire. It's not like he's like has questions like, sire, do we need to bathe in the blood of children? It's not that. It's just I
was gonna say he's part of the beast, that guy. It's a throwaway line, but the blonde guy says that his spokesman is like one of the two horns of the beast. Did you guys not remember that?
Wait, so the guy in Arizona? The guy is Arizona is the spokesman?
Yeah.
I thought the spokesman was supposed to be like his Goebbels.
No, I think that's supposed to be his spokesman.
Just like an off-screen character.
No.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Why would it be a guy in Arizona? He just runs like the local fucking stamping facility.
It is what it is.
Oh, God.
I suggest reading the reviews instead of watching the movie. So you can read about...
Yeah, this isn't fun.
Yeah, I mean...
We've probably made it sound fun.
If you were planning on watching this, movie from 7 years ago...
watch the trailer.
Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about this movie and about watching it. Right. So we thought we would save you the time, Yeah.
Right, yeah, this is a topical pick from us. All right, so final recommendation, Carrie. Would you say to our listener to get the Mark of the Beast or
I
not?
would definitely just get the mark. But then you probably also would get killed anyway. So who can say if it's bad or good? If you can get it on your hand, get it on your hand.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
Chris?
Sure. I mean, again, they didn't set it up as looking all... It doesn't look all that bad. I don't know. You don't get hunted and killed. That's a pretty good benefit. So, sure.
I would say just get a stencil of the mark, put the Sharpie in yourself. They're never going to know.
And they never check.
There was yeah, they do say that. There was a scene... Like when you first meet the Resistance and they're like, going over their plans, their secret saboteur plans. Yeah, they say like they have stencils or something so that you can.
She says she's like working tirelessly on replicating it.
Right. So, but like again, like this again, that goes back to my question. Like, so it is. It's like his evil ink that they have, that the Antichrist has,
Unclear.
like his specifically is evil. If you willingly put the exact same mark on your head to deceive Satan, is that like I don't?
It would be trivially easy to replicate, and it also looks different on each person. I don't even think they actually made like a stamp. I think they like stenciled it like sideways on some people.
When she stabs the stripper boyfriend, like they see for the first time and he's laying on the ground dead, the mark on his hand, it's like rubbed off already partially. Like you see like the ink is like it's like half rubbed off. It's like it looks like one of those temporary tattoos that's been on, like they've reshot that scene like, before for the past 4 or 5 hours.
What a wasted opportunity of a film, in my opinion.
Yeah. What a wasted Sunday evening. It was
what a waste of our
awful.
lives.
I mean, like, seriously, bad. Yeah, bad to the point of not even like fun bad.
No.
Just really bad.
Boring. Really boring. Watch the trailer and you get the gist of the
watch
movie.
Amerigeddon. Amerigeddon is was more entertaining.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That's a great film
comparatively.
compared to this.
Right, yeah.
I do suggest reading the reviews again. Somebody mentions their pastor dad with a genius level IQ.
Yes.
I'm gonna read this one review by Cecil.
Okay.
Who gave the movie 5 stars.
Okay.
What you got, Cecil?
The name of the review is "Don't Take the Mark."
Okay.
And it looks like this is written in the form of a poem, which is why I want to read it.
Oh, please.
Okay. That the government paycheck goes a long ways, don't it? The origins of this antichrist is fitting. After all, the mafia taught the government everything it knows. What? They'll have an offer you cannot refuse. If you get the beast's tramp stamp, there is no backing out of it. But look, this mark is to solve a host of problems. Quarantines against biological threats, tracking terrorists that the government invited into our land, putting lipstick on a $23 trillion debt. These minor problems have a genesis of just one of the high powers, government. This isn't simply a Walmart block. What are you going to do when you can't buy medicine for your wife or take your kid to hospital? As far as the other high powers, God is exposing you first. Ravenous wolves have crept in. Xmas on a chalkboard at church? It doesn't stop there. the devil still has his base jump, the serpent.
What?
So if you see one trying to kill itself and you are not born again, run like hello. Look on YT for a video of it. This new phenomenon is because time is short. Makes a good case to keep opossums and razorback pigs around. You would think the Antichrist would be more considerate and wash off the guillotine after each decapitation. I'd hate to feel my hair sticking to the mess. I mean, come on.
The funny is, okay, that's a lot. There's a lot going on there, but it's really funny to me. But in all of that, they included the god dang deficit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
What when is that review from?
Last year.
Interesting. Okay.
Insane.
And it mentions quarantine. Think about it.
Very
Wait,
curious.
it's from last year?
Yeah,
Oh,
see?
Very
shit.
curious.
See?
Maybe they know
Well,
what's up.
Now you know.
All right, I'm not getting the mark.
Quick
I
backtrack.
will. I will. Yeah, I'll also will sell both of you out. Yeah, right.
Folks, the mark of the beast. It's easy. You got it stamped right on. No problem. We love Al DeLuca. Al, I sold him a washing machine last year.
Oh man, I really I'm having fun like saying Lord DeLuca in my head in Trump voice. I would like to hear him say DeLuca.
DeLuca.
Aldo DeLuca died like a dog.
The male stripper. He holds a Bible in his hands up high while he lies. All right, folks.
All right. How do
That's
you think
it.
we're good here? We're good?
We're out.
All right.
Yeah.
It's over.
Good night, folks.
Burn in hell.
Stay cool.
Love you.
The vision is a new